What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. And this one is transfer hits for Game Week 28. So I'm going to go through some of the popular players being moved in and out of people's teams and discuss whether they are good moves or not. And there's lots of important stuff to talk about in this one, especially forward. So let's get into it. So the player with the most transfers in so far this week is Jean-Philippe Mateta. And unfortunately, he's picked up an injury in the FA Cup. And I say picked up an injury like he tweaked his hamstring. It was a really nasty challenge where studs went into his head and he had to be taken to hospital. Now, fortunately, the news coming out of Crystal Palace is that he's going to be okay, and hopefully we see him back on the pitch sooner rather than later. But from an FPL point of view, Glasner did say after the game that he would miss the Ipswich match. I guess there's a chance if he recovers really quickly and really well, we might get another update in Friday's press conference saying he's available. But I think for anyone that has seen that challenge, that seems extremely unlikely. So I would assume that he's going to miss Game Week 28. The good news is, Game Week 30 isn't until April. We've got international break and all that kind of stuff in between. So hopefully he'll definitely be recovered for that. So I would say, if you don't own him, you're obviously not buying him. If you've got him and you were planning on free hitting in 29, if your squad can handle just benching him in 28, I'd probably lean towards holding him. Because although it's unfortunate that you're going to miss the Ipswich game, it's Southampton away in 30, Brighton at home in 31, then the double in 32. And obviously a big part of free hitting is that you're well set up for that double in 32. So if you've got a good squad this week, I'd maybe hold on to him. If you own him and you're looking to wildcard in 30 or 31, then he's probably just a sell. Because he's unlikely to feature against Ipswich and obviously doesn't play in 29. In terms of replacements, I'll talk about them in a little bit because we've got to talk about Cunha as well. But that's where I'd be with Mateta. If you've got a good squad this week, you're free hit 29, I'd maybe lean towards keeping hold of him and hope that he's back for Game Week 30. But if you're not free hit and you're wildcard in 30, 31, he can probably just be sold. As for Cunha, he picked up a red card in the FA Cup against Bournemouth and will now face a minimum 3-game suspension, which will be served in the Premier League because Wolves don't have any other cup games. So he's going to miss for FPL at least Game Weeks 28, 29 and 30. Given his actions, I'd be really surprised if the FA reduced the number of games. If anything, because of that incident against Ipswich in December, they might even increase it. But on current information, he's going to miss Game Weeks 28 to 30. So no matter your chip strategy, he's going to have to be sold. He's not that good that you can just leave him on the bench until Game Week 31 when they play Ipswich away. The only reason not to sell him in 28 would be if your squad looks pretty good, you've got 7 other decent attackers, and having an additional transfer in 29 would make it easier to manage. So maybe if you want to go and get Haaland or something like that, having more transfers in 29 might make that easier. But either way, he's got to go. So let's talk about forward replacements. So I didn't include Erling Haaland on this list because he's so much more expensive than Cunha and Mateta. But if you've got a good route to him that doesn't require too many hits, I do like the idea of bringing him in. It's Forest away this week, Brighton at home in the blank, then Leicester at home in Game Week 30. And he's a player that you'll probably want as we get closer to Game Week 33 because it's quite likely that Man City will double that week. If you need someone a bit cheaper, the best 2 options on paper are probably Chris Wood and Johan Visser. There's not too much to split them. Visser's open play goal threat is almost double Chris Wood. But obviously we know the form Chris Wood has been in this season. He's also on penalties as well, which Visser isn't. And I would say that Chris Wood maybe slightly edges it for fixtures as well. So Man City at home in 28, Ipswich away in 29, Man United at home in 30. Doesn't look that bad. And then it's Villa away in 31. With Visser, you've got Villa at home this week, which is probably better than City at home. But then it's Bournemouth away in the blank and Newcastle away in Game Week 30, which is a bit trickier than Ipswich away and Man United at home. So if I was buying one this week, I'd probably lean slightly towards Chris Wood. But I don't think you can go wrong with either. If you want to go for a more differential player and not Erling Haaland, you've got Marmoush, who keeps getting subbed early around the 70th minute, but he does also keep starting. And Man City made a lot of changes in the FA Cup against Plymouth, and Marmoush didn't start. So that kind of tells us that right now, he's part of Pep Guardiola's first choice 11. The only thing to say, as ever with Man City players, it would not be a shock if at some point he just randomly misses out. But at the moment, it does look like he's going to continue to start, and he's a massive differential compared to Wood and Wood and Visser. In terms of the value pick, that's definitely Beto. But I think after Game Weeks 28 and 29, the fixtures are terrible. So Wolves away this week, West Ham in the blank at home looks good. But then it's Liverpool away and Arsenal at home, 2 best defences in the league. Not ideal. Some of you will be wildcarding shortly. The only thing I would say is, Game Week 30 wildcard, we might not have confirmed doubles in 33. We might have to wait until the 31 deadline to get them. So I wouldn't put yourself in a position where you have to wildcard in 30, because although we'll know who's likely to double, it won't necessarily be guaranteed. So that's the only thing that puts me off better, but he's so cheap, maybe you could even bench him against Liverpool away. The only thing that would hurt his minutes is Calvert-Lewin coming back, but at the moment we don't know when that is. And Beto's playing so well, I'm not even sure why you would take him out of the team anyway. Strand Larsen, potentially a nice punt at this point. Fixtures are good, that's why we had Cunha in the first place. Everton at home, Southampton away, West Ham at home, Ipswich away. There's a good chance he's now on penalties as well. The only thing that slightly puts me off is with Cunha not in the team, how much does that impact how good Wolves are in attack? Because he's such a big part of how they play. So I don't mind Strand Larsen as a punt. And I'd probably go for him over Beto if money allows, because I just like the Southampton away fixture in 29. And if you get stuck with him, the fixtures are better afterwards. But there is some risk there just because of how Wolves might be impacted. And then I put Evan Nielsen on the list, who started in the FA Cup. There is still some risk around his minutes, right? I wouldn't be completely surprised if Utara starts in the league against Spurs instead. But if you're confident in Evan Nielsen's minutes, the fixtures are good for Bournemouth, and he's quite cheap. So Spurs away, Brentford at home, Ipswich at home, West Ham away looks really good. So they're the players that I would consider. I think for solid picks that you know are going to start, minutes are good, all that stuff. Chris Wood and Visser, absolutely. Marmoush for the punt, Beto for next two, but maybe Strand Larsen just because of the fixtures and potential penalties as an option over him instead. So Trent Alexander-Arnold has had just over 70,000 transfers in this week, which isn't much of a surprise when it's Southampton at home. You've got a guy with 8 attacking returns and 12 clean sheets already this season. But as I said on the early thoughts video, I think you've just got to let Liverpool players go if you don't already own them. Even if you're free hitting in 29, I'd be a little bit careful about bringing Trent in, because on paper it looks great. Southampton this week, you free hit him out when Liverpool blank. Then it's Everton at home, Fulham away, West Ham at home, Leicester away. Looks great on paper. But if you're going to use your assistant manager between 31 and 33, because of the double for Palace and Newcastle in 32, the likely doubles that will come in 33 as well, you're going to need additional money to fund that. And if you're looking to bench boost in 33, because it's likely to be the biggest double game we've got left, that's also going to cost additional money to improve your bench. And the idea of trying to have like Haaland and Salah and Trent just probably isn't going to work, and something has to be sacrificed. So I think Trent is amazing this week, and I think despite being smack bang in the middle of the 2 PSG games, he probably will start that Southampton game and just come off early. But I just don't think I would be buying him right now. If you've got him in your squad, absolutely would not be selling him. You can do that in 29 onwards. I think to buy him, I don't see it as a risk this week, but I think long term, you're then looking at probably another transfer out. And I know the score could be huge against Southampton, right? Almost looks guaranteed to be a clean sheet. He's got that attacking potential on top. But I feel like you've just got to let it go, even though it might hurt in the short term. And it's a similar conversation for Dominic Szoboszlai. He's had just over 100,000 transfers in this week, an 11-pointer against Newcastle in game week 27, a 13-pointer against Man City in game week 26. He does look like a really good value pick. 6.4 million. Underlying numbers this season have been good. 0.29 expected goals per 90, 0.2 expected assists. That being said, if you're not free hitting in 29, you've surely just got to let it go. Because it's Southampton at home followed by a blank. And I don't think many people had the luxury of bringing in a player right now who's not going to play in 29. As always, usual caveats apply. If you're sat there with 4 or 5 transfers, nothing else to do, then sure, bring him in, then just take him back out again. Most people are not in that position. And even if you are free hitting in 29, yes, the fixture run looks good, but I would just ask yourself, is he long-term one of the best 5 midfielders you want in your squad? And if the answer is yes, you should get him, because the fixtures are nice. But Liverpool are very unlikely to double in 33. And in 32, you've got that guaranteed double for Palace and Newcastle. So take my midfield, for example. Cole Palmer at this point, I think most people will be happy to get rid of long term. We'll talk about him for this week in a minute. I would say Utara and Nwaneri, not going to be a worry longer term either. Mbeumo's okay, although the fixtures do get a bit tougher. But I think a nailed-on penalty take you're never that worried about. So potentially, if Newcastle are doubling in 32, you might want Anthony Gordon. At the very least, possibly Murphy instead. and then maybe one of Eze or Sarr as well. So that only leaves one midfield spot. And if you're trying to get Erling Haaland in up front, you might need a cheaper midfielder than someone like Szoboszlai at 6.4 million, although arguably Trent could be sold as well. I don't want to get into exactly how your squad should look after game week 30. My point is, as good as Szoboszlai looks after back-to-back double-digit hauls, and the fact he's got Southampton and longer-term good fixtures, I'm just not sure he's going to be a massive worry because of all the other stuff that is going on in terms of doubles in 32 and then doubles in 33. And by the way, it's all right to say don't want Utara or Clive at Semenyo longer term. You probably will. Their fixtures are good in 30 and they're probably going to double in 33. All it needs is one of Man United or Bournemouth to get to the FA Cup semi-finals and then they will double in 33. So I think Szoboszlai looks good. He could absolutely do well this week, but whether you're free hitting in 29 or not, I don't think there's a massive need for him unless you're stacked with transfers. So if you're looking to replace one of your defenders this week and you need someone cheap under 5 million, I think the best option has to be Aït-Nouri. So far, he's had just under 30,000 transfers in this week. And I'm not saying that Wolves' defence is exactly watertight, but at 4.7 million, not a bad option and the fixtures are good. Everton at home in 28, Southampton away in 29, West Ham at home in 30, and Ipswich away in 31. I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure how good Wolves will be without Cunha, but I don't think it should have such a massive impact that you would ignore someone like Aït-Nouri. There's just everything there. There's still a bit of attacking threat. The fixtures are good, and so is the price. And when I look at the defender transfers in so far this week, Munoz makes a lot of sense if you're stacked on transfers or if you're free hitting in 29. At 5 million, he looks great. I'm really jealous of anyone that owns him. Trent's obviously more expensive. And Cucurella, 15-pointer against Southampton last week, Leicester at home this week, looks great. But in my opinion, the boat has been missed there. The time to buy Chelsea players was before Southampton at home, not before Leicester at home. He'll do good, I'm sure. And it could be another 15-pointer. But the fixtures afterwards are just not great for clean sheets. It's Arsenal away, Spurs at home, then Brentford away, 29 to 31. So I think it would be Aït-Nouri. If you've got the money, I still quite like someone like Gabriel instead if you don't have him. Despite the fixtures on paper looking worse, Arsenal defence great, goal threat from set pieces and all that good stuff. But under 5 million, it's got to be Aït-Nouri. So if I was looking for a new defender this week, he's almost certainly the player that I would buy. And then we've got Cole Palmer, another 150,000 transfers out for him so far this week. 11.1 million. And all he's got is 1 assist in the last 6 game weeks. It's not ideal. He hasn't scored since game week 21. For anyone that watched the Southampton game, you're probably coming away from that match wondering how he didn't score. He did have a bunch of chances. He put up 1.3 XG. But it's fair to say he is not delivering on the price that he costs right now. That being said, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, if you've come this far, there is no way you can sell him for Leicester at home. And I really don't think there's any justifiable reason to do it. Even if you're selling him and, let's say, Cunha to go to a cheaper midfielder in Haaland, I do not think that's worth 2 transfers in game week 28 when Palmer's literally got Leicester at home. And also, and I'm probably not going to do this, by the way, but just to mention it, you could even make an argument that Palmer is potentially the best captain this week. Because although Salah has Southampton at home, it is between those 2 PSG matches. And there is potential, I'm not guaranteeing it, that Salah could get subbed early, which we're not normally used to. Now, for what it's worth, if I had to put money on it, he'll probably just play 80-plus minutes because the guy's an absolute machine. But let's say I could guarantee you Palmer 90 minutes against Leicester, Salah's only going to play 65 against Southampton. Would you be more willing to take it on? Even if you wouldn't, you'd probably hesitate a little bit. And therefore, that tells you that Palmer is just a good option this week. So you've got to keep him. If you want to sell him in 29 for Arsenal away and then not have him longer term, absolutely fine. But Leicester at home is too good to turn down. So just stop selling him and put at least your vice captain on him for game week 28. If you've enjoyed that video, make sure to give it a like and hit that subscribe button. Plenty more videos to come later this week to talk about the fallout of the FA Cup, any updates on injuries and stuff like that, team selection, all that good stuff still to come. But if you've enjoyed that one, give it a like, hit subscribe, rate 5 stars if you listen on podcast. I'll catch you again soon.